Sunday, October 6th, Victory Sunday. Tomorrow will be Victory Monday. We have a ton to talk about. I'm excited to talk about our game. I'm also, what an unbelievable week of college football from top to bottom. We're going to talk about a lot of it. We did learn that Vanderbilt is actually not the worst football team in the history of the sport, at least as it pertains to this year, after defeating Alabama. Virginia Tech played a game in California. They won. It was great. I predicted 31-10. We won 31-7. Not saying I'm Nostradamus, but I sure look like one. But anyway, Pat, how are you, my man? What's going on with you?
Good. Just got back from the beach. You know what they say, the coffee tastes better, the air smells fresher, the pep is in the step, the couch feels comfier.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to get a win. It's nice to go into bye week off a win. It's nice going into the bye week and then 2 consecutive games at home after a big, how many scores did we win by? 4? 4-score conference win, coast to coast. It's our first win in Pacific time in 22 years.
Wow. That is certainly a stat. I also want to, this is a PSA to everybody. I don't think you said it this morning. I was like, I'm going to call out Pat for saying this, but I actually don't think you said this. I think.
Okay. What are you about to say?
No, because I heard so many people coming into this week were like, this slate sucks. I'm going to go pumpkin picking. I'm going to go do this. And respectfully, every week of college football is a gift from God. And to go into the week and say, I'm looking at the slate, it's going to suck, that has to stop. If somebody says that to you in your friend group, you just have to stop them right away, point to a week like this one, absolute chaos, absolute awesomeness. But let's talk about the Hokies first.
Let me jump in there. I want to continue to your thought.
Please do.
Josh Pate did call it the imminent chaos week. There was carnage all over the country yesterday. It is funny because we were talking about it with our group that we were with this weekend, and October 12th was like the weekend. Like, hey, no weddings on October 12th. I wouldn't go to my own wedding on October 12th.
I hope you would.
Is what I'm quoting. I'm paraphrasing like what the internet has said. October 12th and October 19th have tremendous slates of games, but You're right. Like, you cannot just say, oh, they mailed it in with the scheduling, you know, for week 6 or week 7 or whatever it was. It was some good football. 5 out of the top 11 lost. Could have been 6, but some more action happened on that Miami team. But should we jump into the whole haiku thing?
Yes, absolutely. We got a bunch, as we do when we win. So we'll go tick for tack here. Pete McGee, this one was really good. Does a tree make sound if it falls in the forest with no one around? Well done. He's starting to mix in some rhymes, which are a lot of fun. So good job, Pete.
And then Kelly Kreider actually saw Pete McGee's Hokie haiku to us and replied to it. Yesterday it did. Let's go Hokies was the sound. Only tech around. Nicely done. And then Matt Jones from Danville, Virginia, home of David Wilson and the Edmonds brothers. Through pure grit and will, they hit their stride in Stanford. Their goals still in reach. And then he says, love what you guys do. Let's go Hokies. Thank you, Matt. So thank you guys for the submissions this week. Billy Ray, you were home in Charlotte this weekend. Where did you watch? What was going on around the Queen City?
Man, we had an awesome time. So if you do live in Charlotte, obviously, look, guys love football, right? Girls love football. But I like bridging the gap of I can watch ball and also be in a cool environment that isn't 100%. Like, you remember the ESPN sports bars, like the Sports Center bars? It's a cool concept. Yeah. Probably not a place, females or people that don't care about sports would like to go. So we headed down to Goldie's. I think that's my favorite place to watch college football. There's live music, hot dog stand, great drinks. We had an awesome group. Kenny Barnes, Taylor Caskey, Chris. I'm not going to say everybody because I'll be here all day. Magic Jack was there. Great seeing Magic Jack. Juliana. We had Caroline Miller, my buddy Campbell, who I met at Run Club in Charlotte this week. I mean, it was a great group. We probably had close to 15 or 20 people there. So had a really awesome time. We were literally there from 2:30 until 10, probably. We were there for like 8 hours. It was a tremendous time. So yeah, shout out to Goldie's right down in, is that Loso? Is that Lower South End or is it still technically South End? Okay.
Loso Rising.
Yeah. Great time.
No free ads, Goldie's. The Goldie's is a great spot. I mean, you've seen Tech play there twice now.
And yeah, the last time was Boston College. It was the Boston College
opponent both times. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I was in Dewey Beach for the breast cancer run. Dewey Goes Pink. Over 4,500 participants. They had Kristen and the Noise playing some music. It was like a massive party. Wish I ran in Scott Van Pelt. Didn't see him. No, Stanford Steve was out actually at the Tech Stanford game. But we watched at the Starboard, the legendary Dewey Beach bar and restaurant. And there were some opinions on from some of the girls that we were with on the Vanderbilt Alabama game. The word used to describe Vanderbilt was cowards for kneeling the ball with a minute left and not running the football out. So love the opinions from our group, but you did a long list of shout outs. So I think it's fair for me to do some shout outs as well.
Please.
We did have the McDonald's host us for the weekend, which was great. Austin and Kirsten, Catherine Sayer, Bobby Casey, and a special shout out to Sophie Knoll, who was especially fired up to see the Hokies pick up the dub on Saturday. Very much in tune, very fun group to spend our Saturday with, whether it was at the Starboard or back at the McDonald's. Some grilled meats as well. Wow. So a wild day in college football. Took a nice beach walk with the gang in Bethany this morning, and back here recording in Kensington before we head back to Charlotte on Tuesday. So let's get into it.
Game day.
We were talking about how hot it was.
So I was actually shocked by this. Bill Roth put this out on his notes, and he said the temperature at kickoff was 89 degrees, which is the hottest on-record temperature for a Virginia Tech game. Look, it looked hot. People said it was hot. There's a heat wave out in California. I'm just shocked that that's the hottest game that we've played in at kickoff. I wouldn't believe that unless Bill Roth said it, to be completely honest.
What was the note? Was it in October? Or
no, it was the hottest game recorded at kickoff that Virginia Tech has played in. It's on his post-game notes, dude. I mean, if you want to work cited it, maybe. But I was at Vanderbilt, and the only reason that it might not have been is because it kicked off at 11, and, it got hot towards the end of the game. But interesting footnote there. Yeah, Pat just fact-checked me because he didn't believe me. But it was.
No, I didn't.
It is true. So that was wild. He even has in the notes here, there's no way this is an accurate stat. Take it up with Bill. The stadium, the pictures that Hokies FB put out, it looks like a beautiful setting. It really does. It looks awesome out there. Not a ton of people really caring. I thought Andy Bitter's tweets were really funny. He said the halftime show, they had somebody dressed up as a Tesla crashing into random stuff. And, there's just weird stuff going out there in California. 36,277 people in attendance, couple rough overhead shots, to put it really lightly. Just some rough overhead shots. But we're in California. They're in the conference now. So we need you guys to buy in. We need to buy in. We talk about this all the time. I think ESPN should have to pay a fine to the ACC for defamation anytime there is an overhead shot of UVA, Duke, Carolina, Stanford. Cal looked great this past week, but we have too many stadiums that are not packing it to the gills, and you're making the conference look bad. Stop doing it. Stop. Get this camera panning out of here. But shout out to all the Hokies who showed up. I did think there was a huge contingency of Virginia Tech fans. It looked like an awesome weekend. I saw there were Hokies hanging out with Jerry Rice which looked super cool. A lot of 49ers Super Bowl rings. I know they had a huge event for the Pamplin School of Business at Levi Stadium and some awesome other events. I know that Pamplin and the Alumni Association did an awesome job engaging with a really large group of people who graduated from Tech who all live out in California. So I tip my cap to all of them, and it looked like an all-around fun trip. Really did. You are on mute.
Tough scene. I saw Richard Sherman was out tailgating with Andy and Tracy, and who else was out there? Andrew Luck. I think Clark was posting. Andrew Luck was out there.
Wow.
Pete Thamel was at the tailgate. Just some serious names from the Stanford side, and it's just a shame that no one actually went to the game.
Yeah,
for a stadium that holds 50,000 people, I just don't understand. Why is the stadium that size to begin with? I didn't run down the history lesson of Stanford Stadium and why it's not complimentary to the average attendance. I know when Andrew Luck was there, it was always packed. I know when John Elway was there, it was probably always packed. But how do we bridge that gap to facilitate a more enthralled cultural environment?
Yeah, I think you just answered your question. Quick research. I think the team just hasn't been worth selling out the stadium. It's saying in 2013, the stadium sold out every home game. So more than 40,000 Stanford rooters crowded into the Rose Bowl. They were talking about the Rose Bowl. I just think the team hasn't been good enough. And again, this is what Miami struggles with. This is what I almost said Syracuse. What a crazy city to put in the same conversation as Miami and San Francisco. But there's just a lot of stuff that goes on there. And you can find better things to do than to watch a Stanford football game when they're not that good. That's just reality. So anyway, I don't have anything else on the game day other than it just felt really good to watch us beat an opponent by a lot of points. We didn't even do it. This was one of those games where and again, maybe it was just being at Goldie's, but there was so much good football on. Tech was handling business, and you could kind of just sit back in your chair, keep an eye on the game, watch some other games, and just watch us, move down the football field, which was nice. We haven't done that this year yet. So pretty stress-free watching experience, which was nice.
Yeah, I think complimentary football really, came out running the ball, falling forward. I don't think we got stopped behind the line that much at all. Yesterday, I know there was only one sack on drones, just a couple tackles for loss. The team did what it was supposed to do. And this was more of the team that we thought we were going to get throughout the month of September, and took a little bit to wake up. But thankfully, you really can build on this win, headed back into the bye week. But you want to talk about the offensive production in the first half and the second half.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We've dealt with this in a couple of different games where teams are, whether it's the way that the clock works or whether it's just what teams are doing. I honestly think it's a little bit of both. We only had 8 possessions in the entire football game, and we only saw the ball for 1 possession in the entire first quarter, which is really insane to think about. In 2022, teams averaged 13 possessions per game. In 2023, it was 12, and we only had 8. Offense finishes with 337 yards. Their play breakdown, they're about 2-to-1 run to pass attack. The most important thing the entire game, no turnovers for Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech scored a touchdown in every single quarter. And, first drive of the game, 65 yards, 3 minutes. We had a couple of drives that were really, really awesome, just matriculating the ball down the football field. And yeah, I have to tip my cap to everybody. We'll get into some of the names of different players and their performances, but I put this tweet out, just really pleased with Virginia Tech in all phases of the football game.
The first touchdown was such a fun possession. It was so up-tempo, taking advantage and taking the ball at the 35-yard line after Stanford missed a 53 or a 56-yarder. You got Tuten, who runs for 4 yards for the first down, and then drones to Jay Lane, back-to-back plays, up-tempo, 13-yard first downs. And then we hit Jay Lane again with a trick play, reverse, down to the 9-yard line, and all of a sudden Gosnell has his ball in his hands in the end zone. Really fun drive. We mixed it up a lot. Drones was lining up in the shotgun, ran to his left and finds a running Jay Lane who picks up the first down. Like, I feel like we saw a little bit of opening up the playbook that we haven't seen in September, frankly.
I want to tip my cap to Tyler Bowen for this. And this is something that I think Virginia Tech has done a really good job of in man, we're in such a good mood after winning a game. Something that we've done a good job is Jalen Lane has to be an absolute just pain in the neck to prepare for every single week. You have to get ready for Jalen Lane on special teams. You have to get ready for Jalen Lane with jet motion, reverses, pass game, run game, kick game. Like, he does everything. And we show so many different looks. And, a lot of people will say, hey, why are we trotting out, Schlee at wide receiver? Why is Takai Heath doing all these motions? Well, everything that's looks a little weird, a team has to take time out of their prep, out of getting ready for Bashal Tutin, getting ready for confusing Kyron Drones, and trying to figure out how they can, put something together to kind of mitigate and keep him one-dimensional. They have to prepare for all these different variables. And Jalen Lane specifically, he's just like a handyman. He can do everything. So I think that specifically is worth a call out. Two things I want to mention. I was going to save this for concerns, but I did think this was worth pointing out. Ollie Jennings was in this football game at a couple of different times. On that Gosnell touchdown, he was on the field. I really hope that we get an opportunity to see him play. He has been so unlucky with his health just over the last 2 years. He's a really talented player. I was glad to see him out there. But obviously, doesn't look like he's 100%. I hope he's able to get there. The biggest thing for me, Daquan Felton, come on down. Like, welcome. We have missed you. He had 4 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. He doubled his touchdown mark. He had 78 yards coming into the game. He had a 55-yard touchdown. 6'2", 215 pounds. He's an impact player. It's important that he has his fingerprints on our offense and his fingers on the football. Did a great job of that at Stanford. Excited to see it. Hope it's a sign of things to come.
Commendable effort for Quan Felton, especially on the touchdown. It was a really good catch. This was not one of the spear throws that would have hit him right in the chest. No. He had to go down and kind of make a weird position, just kind of distort to grab it, picks it up and goes 55 yards to the house. Mm-hmm. Some good yak. Mm-hmm. Seeing that catch and run. We saw that in Charlottesville last year. So he is more than just a deep threat, and we need to realize that. And it's good to finally seemingly have him back to where he was last year.
Completely agree. Got to put it together. Well, I'd love to see more of the same when we come out of the bye week. Second quarter touchdown might have been my favorite drive of the year. 13 plays, 83 yards, 6 minutes and 45 seconds. We did a great job of getting into second and medium. I think we saw 1 2nd and 11, but we stayed in like 2nd and 6, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 2, which is an offensive coordinator's dream. Heavy doses of Tutin and Drones matriculating the ball down the field. You had the Gosnell 24-yard explosive catch over the middle. And then Bashal Tutin punches it in, scores a touchdown every single game. This is his 9th touchdown on the year, which is the most in the conference. Pretty shocking. This was the first time in forever that Bashal Tutin didn't have 100 yards, but he did leave with a touchdown. So I just love watching that guy play. I really do. Gonna miss him when his Hokie career ends, but he is such a joy to watch.
You mentioned 6 minutes, 45 seconds on that drive. That was the longest touchdown drive of the year so far. And it was 4th and inches inside the 6-yard line. Elijah Brooks, Tech's running back coach, pulls Bashal Tutin aside and says, hey, man, we need you to get this yard. And Tutin says, I'm not getting the yard. I'm getting the touchdown. And he went in and he got the touchdown. That puts him at 605 yards in 6 games, which is good for 8th nationally. He had 73 on Saturday and also bumped him over the 3,000 yards mark on his career. He transferred from North Carolina A&T prior to this is his 2nd year in Blacksburg, but tip of the cap to Tutin for hitting that 3,000 mark. Kyron Jones.
Kyron Jones?
Kyron Jones had a good day. Didn't light up the stat sheet, but he did exactly what he needed to do to win us the football game. Held on to the football, 14 of 19, 201. I think it was 201 or 204 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown on the ground, ran for 17 yards, picked up some crucial and critical first downs as well in the short yardage game. Yesterday was his best QBR of the season.
Yep.
87.8, which is also the 4th best of his 17 starts while at Virginia Tech. I did find it. So I thought the offense in the first quarter was really fun. As we mentioned, I was a little freaked out right before halftime that like flailing throw it away play with like a minute left deep in our own territory was a little suspect. But I do think
he has to be. I know we had a really bad fumble luck in the Rutgers game. We have really good like those plays not being catastrophe luck on those. But again, first time over 200 yards, protected the football, got the job done, and I think this is great for. Look, it's great for confidence for everybody heading into the bye week. We said it a couple of days ago. September, literally like. Green Day, shout out. Wake me up when September ends. September has now ended. We are into October, and I think we turned the page and did what we hoped we would do and what we're capable of doing, and it's something to build on. So, really proud of the team.
Yeah, he had you remember the Pittsburgh game? Pittsburgh was his coming out party last year. 5 total touchdowns. The touchdown where he runs into the end zone and just kind of does the jump. Similar to what he did in Lane last year against Pitt. You could just tell that his confidence is starting to come all the way back. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the second half of the year. Hokies are averaging 30.5 points a game now. That puts us as 60th nationally. I think that's pretty good. I know at Hot Wings and Hotter Takes, my prediction was over 34.5 points a game. I know it sucks when, we have lost 3 games by a combined, 14 points. And that number could be higher, but overall, I think some numbers to be proud of. Our third down conversion for the season so far is 45%, which is good for 38th. That's 39 of 86 conversions. And we're also on the first page on NCAA.com for first downs on the year at 43. I would like to see us climb in all 3 statistical categories here. But encouraging as we roll. I think we're going to say that like 19 times on this podcast. We're very encouraged as we roll into a week off and hosting Boston College on a short week after that.
Time to talk about the defense. Just a couple quick stats for you. Shutout in the first half. Held Stanford to under 260 yards of offense. We forced 2 turnovers and held Stanford to 4.9 yards per pass. Justin Landon, their quarterback, was 13 of 24 for 103 yards and an interception. Look, I've said this all year. I think we have a really good defense. I think they spend a ton of time on the football field. And Stanford's game plan, I believe, was similar to what I saw at the Clemson game last week. Just keep the ball away from Virginia Tech, and Virginia Tech made the most of their possessions and did a really good job of bend and don't break. I know we forced another turnover inside the 5-yard line. Mose Phillips caused a fumble. He is just a fun player to watch, man. He really is. He's playing an awesome year. And I don't know how many times I can think of a few off of my head. We forced a turnover against Miami inside the 10, against Rutgers inside the 10. The defense has done that a couple of times, coming up with opportunistic turnovers. So something to be fired up about. You're on mute again. Damn, dude.
Tough. I'm outside, guys. So, I'm being very delicate with hitting the mute button. We got dogs barking. We got planes flying overhead. I got mosquitoes that I'm swatting. So we're really dealing with the elements here. 184 passing yards per game. We are allowing to hold a Stanford quarterback. Listen, I know he was a backup. Like Lamson, not going to light the world on fire. would have been a bigger challenge if we had gotten their starter
Mm-hmm.
down with an ankle injury, considering how much he can run the football. But, holding him to 103 yards is commendable. Got a nice interception for Keontae Jenkins. This defense, generally speaking, some more statistics for you after the halfway point in the season. 184 passing yards per game. That puts us as 34th nationally. 170 rushing yards per game puts us at 100th nationally. So things that we need to clean up as we go into the second half here is certainly our rushing defense. But we did, for the second week in a row, really get after the quarterback. 5 sacks on the night. I know a lot of them came, in garbage time, but continuous pressure on the quarterback. 12 total tackles for loss on Saturday. Everyone really got back there. And this team, year over year, is just making quarterbacks have a miserable time out there.
Yep.
21 sacks on the year so far for Virginia Tech. That's 3.5 per game and puts us at the top, in the top 10, tied for 7th in America, and the highest sack total in the Atlantic Coast Conference as well.
Stanford came into the game plan. They did a lot of zone read, which I called out was a huge issue for us. We did a great job staying at home, handling business, following your keys. Again, 136 rushing yards on 41 attempts. That's good for 3.3 yards per carry. And I'll tell you what, man, Caleb Spencer is a hell of a football player. Like, set the tone with a big hit in the first quarter. I think I was on the first drive. He led the team in TFLs. He had 3. Had 5 tackles on the day and a sack. He's a sophomore. He's a damn good player. Look, I miss having Stroman back there because Stroman's a great player. Him going down, we've had the ability to rotate some guys in there, and I think we really have found something with Caleb Spencer and with Mose Phillips. I'm really proud of the defensive back unit as a whole. I think they've done a really, really good job stepping up. We kind of identified that unit as, look, we have some really, really good players, and we don't know what's behind those players. And I think we found out. I think we found out as the course of the year has gone along.
Stanford was 5 of 13 on third down on Saturday. Obviously down from what Cam Moore did to us in Miami the previous week. I do think that we need to button it up on third down. We're 86 nationally this year, letting opposition convert on third down, 35 of 87 for 40%. But Eddie Royal said at halftime, it was kind of a boring football game. It wasn't the most fun game going on. I had to ask someone at the Starboard to put it on because they had like Ole Miss and South Carolina, the Lane versus Shane Classic going on SEC Network or ESPN. But it was cool to see. I say cool to see. We like trick plays because college football and trick plays go hand in hand. Micah Ford's passing touchdown to Alec Iomanor. I know they mentioned hundreds of times on the
Iomanor.
Ayo, man. So I'm trying to compete with the plane flying overhead, about to fly into BWI here. They did mention several times that Micah Ford was a quarterback in high school, did have some New Jersey records, but I saw that they showed a graphic of him throwing for like 24,000 yards in high school. And then I actually fact checked and looked it up on NJ.com, and they added an extra 0. It was actually only like 2,400 yards.
What are we doing?
In his high school career. So tough scene from the ACC network. Last thing I'll say about the defense, I was seeing a lot of this on X. People are throwing out the Mose Phillips, Cam Chancellor comp. I don't know if Mose Phillips compares as far as a sizing perspective to the great leader of the LOB, Cam Chancellor, but I do love the way he plays the game of football, and he can pack a punch as well. Really excited about MP3 is what they're calling him.
Wow. MP3. I like that. Play it again, DJ. Let's go, dude. Real quick, special teams. John Love hit a 46-yarder. He's awesome. Peter Moore, 51 yards per punt, long of 61. Not a ton to talk about there. Again, just not a ton of possessions in this football game. If I had to say any concerns that I have here, again, Ollie Jennings, get healthy. I think the bye week is coming at a fortuitous time. Hoping that we're able to see him play because he's a talented player, and I think he makes a huge difference here. I also want to shout out the Gosnell brothers. They were great again, as they always are. And, offense looked good, complimentary football. It's very challenging. I think a lot of people kind of poo-pooed on this point, saying, look, other teams are doing it, yada, yada, yada. It's hard to get on a plane and fly across the country. For a lot of these players, it's probably their first time in California. They can have, first class seats and, it's nice to get over there. It's still a huge operation. And a year ago, we were talking about, can this team win on the road? We were waking people up early and, changing our, pregame routines and stuff. It looks like they handled it really well. Team didn't come out sluggish and handled business. So, proud of this team. Good win. 31-7. I'm happy. Really happy. Benny's lines from this game. Tootin rushing yards. This is what Grant Watson gave us. 99.5. He did go under. Went under 100 yards for the first time since the Vanderbilt game, which was not his fault. He had the lowest yards per carry of the year, 3.5. Still a baller.
I got to tell you, if you were to tell me that Tootin would only have 73 yards, I don't know if I would have told you we would have won the football game.
Yeah, I'd been a little worried.
Yeah.
Would have had some concerns. Drones passing yards, 214.5. That hit under with 201. It's his first time going over 200 yards this year. Again, balanced attack, did a good job. I think he had his highest completion percentage of the year. And then Hokies points allowed, the line was 20.5, only gave up 7. Well done by the defense. You got some fun stats here on our strength of schedule.
I think Pete put it out there on X last night.
X. I love the way you say X. You
I know. I've kind of converted.
Yeah.
X, the Bird app, Twitter. I still kind of feel weird calling it X, I will say. But the strength of schedule right now, as according to the ESPN FPI rankings, 23rd overall. A lot of it has to do with Vanderbilt beating Big Bad Bama at home. Diego Pavia, 40 points for Vandy.
I said this, Pat. I said it on the post-game podcast, and I was like, when we lost to Vandy, I was pissed. Obviously, everybody was pissed. But I said the way that he plays quarterback and his ability to just cause havoc, I compared him to Johnny Manziel. Everybody called me a silly boy. He has this reckless abandon, extreme confidence about himself. I'm not sure if anybody saw the post-game press conference or post-game comments that he had. A little off the rails. I said he's going to beat somebody he has no business beating. I didn't think it would be Alabama, and I don't think it's the last time that it's going to happen. So, well done, Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia.
Really wish it was us carrying the goalpost down Broadway on August 31st. Now, I don't know why Virginia Tech fans would rush the field after a Vanderbilt win.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't.
Every Hokie fan was watching that game yesterday and was feeling vindicated, but was also feeling like, damn it, how did we let that get away? Put 2 zeros on the field, and all of a sudden Vanderbilt gets the win. But no, hat tip to Clark Lee and Diego Pavia and that group down in Nashville. But they are bolstering our strength of schedule. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. Our remaining strength of schedule for the rest of the year is 67th. So not that tough, but we will see how that unfolds. I went into the year thinking we'll probably be favored in 5 out of 6 games in the first 6 and 5 out of 6 games in the last 6. And those 2 outliers being Miami on the front end, Clemson on the back end. Looking at it right now, I would think that we are going to be favored in 5 of our last 6 games. Clemson does look very good. They went down and took care of business again last night in Tallahassee, but we will see. Some other things that I pulled here from post-game. ESPN, again, these are all computer rankings, all analytics. If you follow FPI or if you don't follow FPI, we are ranked number 28th according to their FPI rankings. I saw a tweet. It was from Shelton Moss. He said the Hokies are one of 2 FBS teams, the other one being Army, for whom every conference win over the last 2 years has been by at least 17 or more points, which is a crazy stat. Virginia Tech has 7 conference wins since 2022, and all 7 of those wins have been by 17 points or more.
Wow.
The margin of victory in conference wins has been 25 points, which is really crazy just to think about, considering since Coach Pry took over, they're 1-10 in 1-score games, but then in games that we win by 25 points in conference. It's just like a wild dichotomy that this football team has. The good thing is, like, I think hopefully, knocking on wood, all 3 years, like we've seen development over the course of the season. We could throw out 2022. It doesn't really, that roster was a challenging roster, but the way we saw this roster grow and develop last fall in the second half of the year, hopefully we see the same thing here. Want to see some more big wins over the course of the next 6 weeks, but also we need that 1-10 to go away. That needs to be 2-10, 3-10, 4-10, whatever it's going to look like. We cannot get an 11 before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Some fun stories on Saturday. We've talked about some of them. Almost 6 out of 11 of the top 11 teams lost yesterday. The outlier being Miami. Really tough weekend for the SEC big dogs. You had Tennessee go in and lose as favorites at Arkansas. You had Bama go in and lose as favorites at Vandy. You had Missouri go lose at A&M as favorites as well. Billy Ray, what are your thoughts on Miami? I know, like, they completely – I don't know how you come back from 25 points on the road like that, especially where College Game Day is there, and Cal probably – you can make the argument that Cal was screwed out of one of the best wins in the history of their program.
I have a couple of thoughts on this game. I don't think people are going to like them, but I do have thoughts. Number one, everybody can get behind this. The fact that an ACC football game ended at 2:30 in the morning was absolutely heinous. If you watched the first half, you were going to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning. I was up until 3 watching this game.
I was going to ask. I did not watch.
It was a great game. This is awful. Like, these games need to start earlier. Just really tough. Here's the thing. Miami was the beneficiary of a call for targeting that was not made on the field. It was brought up to the booth, and it looked like targeting 100%. I think it was a bad call. I have 2 things on this. Number one, it was 38-18 at the start of the fourth quarter. Cam Ward brings them all the way back. They did also have to go 92 yards in a minute and a half. The officiating is egregious. I don't think it's fair to say that Cal got screwed out of a win. And I'm not saying that because you said it, it's because everybody's saying it. They came all the way back in the football game. It was some heinous defense by Cal in a game that you absolutely should win if you're in that situation going into the fourth quarter. My problem with the officiating is the lack of accountability. I think officiating in college, Josh Pate had a whole segment about this, about, like, constantly games are decided on calls and nobody gets in trouble. Like, nobody has anybody to answer to. You can submit and say, hey, this was a bad call. We don't want this crew again. But it doesn't seem like there's anything that really happens outside of that. And for as much money as this sport brings in, and as much eyeballs that are on it, and how much work goes into it, and how much people care, it just seems silly to me that we have these issues seemingly every single week. A lot of them have happened in the ACC. Now, the point that people are not going to like, you can dislike Miami all you want. You can dislike Cam Ward. You can say he's, full of himself, not a great interview. I've never met him. I have no idea what he's like in person. He is very, very confident in his post-game press conferences. But the kid's an absolute gamer. He gets the job done. And at the end of the day, like, you have to make plays to put yourself in position to have these things happen. And they did that. So Whether you like it or not, Miami, one of the best teams in the country, has one of the best players in the country. I disagree with the targeting call. I disagree with the call that happened last week, but to just discredit their entire program. I have people coming back at me saying Cam Ward is not a good quarterback. That is a completely silly, ridiculous connotation. He's obviously a very good quarterback. But if we were looking at the karma gas tank, I think Miami has overdrawn or overdrafted on their good karma bank. But again, at the end of the day, it's a W, and we'll see what happens the rest of the season. Really, really awesome effort by Cal. Their game day turnout was incredible. I really didn't know what we were going to get there. Also, I do want to give a helmet sticker to Reese Davis. He was really struggling on that broadcast. He sounded like he had the flu or something, because he must have been up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning getting ready for college game day Pacific time, and has to wait all day and then call that Cal game. I was listening to it. I was like, is that Reese Davis? Because it sounds like he's gargling barbed wire. But he did call the game, and I hope ESPN at least sends him a edible arrangement or something for his efforts, because he really put in a Herculean effort.
Especially on a day where his alma mater gets beat by Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
Tough, but Alabama's done enough winning for a lifetime. He'll be okay. Also, Michigan went to Washington and lost. They're number 10. They were number 10, I should say. USC, number 11, went up to, I guess, Minneapolis is where Minnesota plays, and they lost to the Golden Gophers. Just a couple other things I found cool. I don't know if you have any Service Academy updates, Billy Ray, but I do have some other updates from around college football. This guy, Ashton Gianti at Boise State. If you haven't tuned in or watched his highlights or heard of this guy yet, running back at Boise State, he's already hit the 1,000 rushing yard mark on the season.
He's so good.
1031 rushing yards, which is 260 more than the guy who's in second place. And Boise's offense is averaging 50.7 points per game, purely on the back of Gianti, Ashton Gianti at Boise State. Super fun to watch. Guy just goes out and churns out 250-yard efforts like it's just making a run to the grocery store, picking up eggs and bread. The Indiana Hoosiers went out to Evanston, Illinois this past weekend, and they played at the high school stadium, or the makeshift, temporary, bleacher-filled, whatever you want to call it, while Northwestern preps for their new cool LED light, purple Cobra stadium that's going to be opening in a few years. That's going to be sick, by the way. Their stadium is going to be like an English Premier League, soccer vibe, 35,000. Cool spot. Check out the graphics online. Indiana Hoosiers are 6-0 and ranked 19th in the country on the back of Kurt Signetti. Coach Sig from
light him if you have him. He's been awesome. Really excited. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like. I have a couple of other things. First of all, you're welcome. I gave you all free money last week, parlaying Army and Navy. I'm doing this every week until it doesn't work out. They're just beating the piss out of every team that they play. Army beat Tulsa 49-7. Navy beat Air Force 34-7. The Service Academy teams are so fun to watch. I also want to call out Arizona State, who's just a tremendously fun team to watch all year. I have been on them ever since I watched Scadaboo. They put so much on his back every single game. He's their running back. Cameron Scadaboo is an absolute beast. They went ahead and beat Kansas, who, look, I talked a lot about Kansas coming into the year. They're 1-5. I think they've lost 3 or 4 games in the last minute. Just a really tough situation for them. And then lastly, Missouri got crushed by A&M. I did not see that coming. I kind of had the fraud alert going on with Missouri, and I thought they would lose. I didn't think they would lose by 30 points. So A&M absolutely crushes Missouri, and Drinkwitz is walking away with his tail between his legs.
Yeah, really tough. I wanted to give you guys some more into Ashton Gianti. He does also have 16 touchdowns. Had 3 touchdowns on Saturday versus Utah State. Not playing world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, but he did have a long of 70 and 3 touchdowns when they played at Oregon week 2. Also, Indiana Hoosiers, for those keeping score at home, their remaining schedule, they have on Saturday the Nebraska Huskers. And then they have, hang on. They got Nebraska, Washington, Michigan State, and then they got back-to-back Michigan and Ohio State before closing with Purdue. So could win 9 games this year. Coach Sig. Google me. I win. Google me.
Could win 9 games. I would expect them to win 9 games, and they might win a game they're not supposed to. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to watch. I do want to point one more thing out. I've been going back and forth with Diablo fan account, and he put out a victory lap tweet the other day saying that he was told that the sport was ruined. It's clearly not. I mean, look, the sport was fun. This last weekend is what makes the sport fun. I do just want to say with all this conference realignment stuff, and I know we swore off of it, but I do just have to bring it up. My issue is not really like college football as a sport. I do have some issues with, the health of the sport in some areas. What really concerns me is the distance between the Big Ten and the SEC and everyone else is widening at an alarming rate. If you go ahead and you look at the top 25, the top 10 has one non-SEC Big Ten team in it. Clemson and Miami are not in the top 10 currently. And some of that's not.
Oh, yeah. Miami's in the top 10.
I'm sorry. Clemson is not in the top 10.
The AP just came out.
The AP. Okay. So I was looking at this before then.
Clemson's
Thank you.
10. Yeah. Clemson number 10. And then, we had a few ACC teams slide in the 20s.
Okay. So,
but still,
my point being, according to the last AP, the Big Ten and the SEC are very much the premier league. And a lot of that has to do with the SEC, the ACC and the Big 12 not necessarily carrying their water when they go up against these opponents. But with those television deals, they're just widening the gap between everybody else. So thank you with the new AP thing. I guess that kind of steps to my point. But still, only 20% of non-SEC and Big Ten teams in the top 10. So since I don't know what the top 15 looks like before this week, there were only 4 teams in the top 15 that aren't in that conference. And Notre Dame was one of them. And I kind of count them in that group, even though they're independent. They're going to be in whatever the Super League is for college football. So we'll see. But an awesome week of college football. It's given me 2007 vibes a little bit, which rocks. So what a week.
How about we talk about the ACC a little bit?
It's funny because coming into this week, you look at the slate and you're like, oh, sweet. Boston College is going to just pulverize Virginia. They didn't. Well, go ahead. Let's run down each game.
Friday night, I didn't get to watch. Syracuse went out to the desert and beat an undefeated UNLV team, which has had some drama the last few weeks, in overtime in dramatic fashion.
Great game.
The Orange is a field goal away from being undefeated right now.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow they lost to Stanford. I would imagine that their primary quarterback ran all over them. I didn't get to watch that game.
The UNLV game was fantastic Friday night. I did bet Syracuse money line, and I did win. I had Pat. This will assuredly ruin my next week. I had an unbelievable gambling weekend. Just going to come out and say it. Just really unbelievable. Probably the best probably my best college football gambling weekend of the year. So anyway, let's keep going with these games.
Pittsburgh is still undefeated. Survived a scare in Chapel Hill. This is the first time that they're 5-0 since 1991. Can't believe it's been that long since they were last 5-0. Before you and I were alive, Billy Ray. Their quarterback is an absolute legend. Eli Holstein has 18 touchdowns through 5 games. His numbers are very similar to Cam Ward's numbers. If you look at their touchdown and interception ratio, he's thrown for 3 touchdowns in all 5 games. Absolutely absurd. I also thought Carolina's uniforms just didn't look good. Unless you're Ole Miss, I'm saving your face, Billy Ray. Unless you're Ole Miss, powder blue does not belong in college football. I stand by that, especially when it's head to toe. I just thought it looked horrible, to be honest with you. Mac his days are waning. It would seem at Carolina.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree. I think the powder blue uniforms look awesome. I'm looking at them right now. I think they're great. We'll agree to disagree, but I do prefer Ole Miss's myself. Little bit of a darker tint with Ole Miss.
If you guys are still tuned in on the YouTube, comment your thoughts if you like or dislike the Carolina powder blue uniforms head to toe.
Let us know.
Southern Methodist might be the class of the conference right now.
Dude, this conference is
crazy. SMU and Cal and Stanford. Really, Stanford is the one that's not holding up its weight since joining the conference this year. Cal gets to host College Game Day. They give Miami a big scare. You got SMU. After seemingly, I thought they were going to be an incompetent team the way I watched them play Brigham Young, like week 1 or week 2, when I think Preston Stone was benched. But this guy, Kevin Jennings, went off at Louisville, ranked number 22, yesterday. 21-27, 281 yards, ran for $113. And we all thought this was going to be the Preston Stone show. They got Red Ashley, they got Preston Stone, D-Town to the ACC, and instead it's been the KJ soiree. Kevin Jennings, remember the name because SMU's schedule doesn't look that tough between here and the ACC championship game. And we got listen, we got a lot of football to play, right? SMU has a lot of football to play, but we got to cross our fingers. If we want to make it to Charlotte, we got to play our game, but also SMU is going to have to trip up. Georgia Tech takes down undefeated Duke at home. I don't know much about either team yet, like how good either team is. Like Georgia Tech beating Florida State week 0 really holds not much merit right now. Duke hadn't played anyone up until Saturday. Side note, did Bobby Dodd Stadium recently add turf, or have I just been out to lunch the past few years?
So I was pretty shocked seeing that, and I looked it up. Apparently, I just don't believe this, but apparently they've had turf since 2020. They installed turf at Bobby Dodd in 2020. So I guess maybe that has to do with how unfun playing Georgia Tech has been, or maybe the conference. Like when was the last time we played at Georgia Tech? Was it 2019?
That's what I was trying to just – I don't know. I feel like it might have been – we played there 2017, and we played there –
We played there in 2019.
In 2019. Yeah, because that was the Caleb Farley pick 6 game, 45-0.
Yeah, we had
definitely
Damon Hazelton and Trey Turner were dancing on the sideline. We were rolling.
Has it been that long? Did we go there in 2021? It can't be that long.
It seems like it has been. I don't know, man.
We might be brain farting here, but we got more to get to. Dabo Swinney becomes the winningest coach in ACC history with his 174th win in Tallahassee. Simply took care of business. I know you put out on the timeline about the lack of seats. So they got construction going on mid-season.
I guess. I don't know what it was. There was an awful shot of Florida State, and the stadium looked half full. It wasn't. They had a ton of people there, but it looked to be that there were a lot of seats that were not able to be sat in. But they did also have they panned over to the book reading guy at Florida State again, which was pretty funny. I don't know if you guys remember when Clemson was beating Florida State like 56-0 a couple of years ago. They showed this guy reading a book in the stands, and that guy was back. Probably planned it and may have told Mark Jones, hey, I'm going to do this. And they got it. They got it on film. Pretty hilarious. I'll tweet it out later today.
Not Mark Jones.
I said this before the season, and in no way am I taking a victory lap because they have a lot of work to do. A lot of people were talking a lot of crap about Dabo and the way that he is not adjusting to the new era of college football. I do just want to say, I'm not saying that it'll work long term. I'm not saying that it's the best strategy. I am saying that team is playing very well. That team looks very good. Anybody can look bad against Georgia in week 1. They did look bad. But the difference is their wide receiving core is very, very young. I think Cade Klubnik looks awesome, and their wide receiver core is growing as the season goes along. So look, Clemson's going to be fun to keep an eye on. I know we're playing them in November, but we are going to need if Virginia Tech wants to play in the ACC championship, and it's so funny to be talking about that here. We're 3-3. But again, we are 1-1 in conference. Our only loss is against the best team in the conference. We're going to have to beat Clemson, or they're going to have to lose 2 games. And Clemson looks damn good right now. So we will see how the rest of the season goes. There is another school, though, in the Carolinas who is deceased.
And I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Did the Pop-Tarts Bowl break NC State last year? Did seeing that Pop-Tart die, did NC State's soul die with the Pop-Tart?
You know, I really feel for NC State fans because they're really great fans, and they carry so much water for this conference. This Dave Doran thing, it doesn't look very good right now. And I know every time we do this, they'll probably go out and win by 50 next week because we brought it up. But they were looking like a team that was going to compete for an ACC championship slot, and they're just struggling to find anything right now. They look really poor. So I don't know what the rest of the season looks like for them, but their fan base is in shambles, and so is their team.
I mean, giving up a combined 41 points to Western Carolina and Louisiana Tech, and then losing at home to Wake. And prayers up for Grayson McCall. I mean, that hit looks
one of the hardest hits I've seen maybe ever.
Did they show any replays of any other angles, or were they just like, hey, we don't want to show the viewer what this looked like?
They showed, I think, 2 angles. He gave a thumbs up when he left the field. It was nasty. It was a nasty, nasty hit. But yeah, no, that was tough. They're 3 losses on the season already, I believe.
And they have one of the easier schedules in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, like playing Clemson and Tennessee in September, okay, but Syracuse, Cal, Stanford, Duke, Georgia Tech, and Carolina.
That's a tough draw, man, because they're going to Cal. They're playing at UNC. I mean, I don't even know. That might be a UNC thank you for everything Mac Brown celebration on November 30th, and who knows what he throws at North Carolina State that week. But yeah, it's not looking great for NC State.
Yeah, 4-pack. And then that brings us up north to Charlottesville. UVA's 4-1. If you had the UVA over 3.5 wins, was it 3.5 or 4.5 on the year?
I have them at, I think, 4.5.
And you had the under?
I have under.
You have under. Okay. And it's probably not going to cash, but we did see Jake Malasek is crying tears after a win at home over Boston College and Bill O'Brien in front of really no one, as you mentioned. It is a good win. It is a good win. Like, it's a well-coached team. Castellanos is a skilled quarterback. I won't front on that. But I think it's a little early to be crying tears. Not even bowl eligible yet.
I'm going to disagree with you.
Haven't really played anyone yet.
I'm going to disagree with you. We badger North Carolina, Virginia, and we tell people to fan harder. And you know what? They don't win a whole lot of football games. They're 4-1. I don't know if he actually cried. Is there footage of him crying? Or you just tweet that he's crying tears?
I mean, we've seen Billy Ray cry real tears for the game just starting post-pandemic. So, you know what? I think it's only fair that we bring him on at the end of the year and we do a little. Him and Trey, we could do a tour. We could do a tour day Crozet, and have him and Jake and Trey Kelleher come on. If Jake's coming to the game, maybe he can sit with us too. I know Trey's might sit with us at in section 129.
I don't have a lot of negative things to say about UVA right now. 4-1, handling business. I do want to point out their schedule is very tough on the back half. Louisville at home, at Clemson, UNC at home. That game is always fun to watch.
Yeah.
Virginia travels to Pittsburgh. Virginia travels to Notre Dame. They host SMU, and then they play us. So the back half, he might be crying tears of pain on the back half of the schedule.
So if you have the under 4.5 ticket, Alexa plays Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. Because it's going to get exciting.
It is. It is. I'm excited about it. You
Rutgers,
have.
this is not ACC related, but it is Virginia Tech related. Rutgers did lose its first game of the season. They went to Lincoln on Saturday and lost 14-7 to Dylan Raiola and the Huskers in front of a packed Memorial Stadium. Big Ten, a lot of teams that wear red in that conference. New AP Top 25 came out. Texas is ranked number 1, Ohio State 2. Oregon is up at the 3 spot, Penn State at the 4 spot, Georgia back in the top 5. Miami, number 6. Bama only drops to number 7. Do you think Bama is situated right here at 7? They do have the best win in the country.
So. I mean, it all is going to change so much. Losing to Vanderbilt on the road is tough. Still have the win over Georgia. I don't know where you'd want to put them. Like, are we going to drop them out of the top 10? Like, I don't know.
Just thankful that we don't have to be as sad as we were about that. Nashville visit. Tennessee is at 8. Ole Miss at 9 after thumping South Carolina. And then Clemson is sliding into the top 10 here for this AP poll. Iowa State at 11. And then Notre Dame, LSU, BYU. This is kind of fun. At 14, 15, 16, and 17, really, or 18, at like the Mountain Time, Central Time takeover, including BYU, Utah, and Boise State. That's fun. And then sliding in, we mentioned Indiana's at 18. I know I said 19 there at 18. Pittsburgh at number 22. And Southern Methodist, the Mustangs, the newcomers to the conference, are a tough quarter of football away from being undefeated and are the new 25 spot, repping the conference well. Louisville dropped out. How about Penn State in the top 4?
What's crazy about Penn State being in the top 4, Pat, is Penn State plays USC next week. If they handle business, Oregon or Ohio State, somebody's going to have to lose this game. Are we looking at potentially a top 3 Penn State team at the next in the next AP? It certainly looks that way. But we'll see. They got to go out to USC.
Yeah.
Moving on right along here. I don't have anything else. Really excited for this next slate of games. I do want to share, selfishly, next week on Thursday night, I will be going to Charlotte Douglas Airport. I will be getting on a plane, and I will be going to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to watch LSU take on Ole Miss at 7:30 Eastern time. It's going to be literally awesome. Cannot wait. Little jealous I'll be missing out on a great weekend with you guys at the bars, but I am excited to go to Baton Rouge and check out two trips to night games at Death Valley in both stadiums. I'm pretty fired up about it. So
two Death Valleys in 3 weeks for you.
2 Death Valleys in 3 weeks. At night. I will not. I have to figure out what my attire is. I mean, I'm going to be rooting for Ole Miss. I'd prefer not to get into any extracurriculars. I know that those Southern folk get a little crazy. So we'll see what that looks like. But let's move on to letters from lunch pail.
At 70-year-old badass.
Wow.
This is my guy Mike, class of 2017. What are the main focus points going into the bye week? I would assume getting guys healthy, offensive adjustments to not come out flat after the bye. Also, what does game planning look like to finish the season with 8 or 9 wins?
To your question on the bye week, yes, get healthy. Keep improving on the passing game and the quick game.
Quick game.
After our bye week last year, it was after Wake. We scored 28 points in every game. If you didn't include Louisville, that was Sons of Saturday's fault. We were in Arizona, so therefore, ipso facto, it was our fault. We were in Arizona for a bachelor party that week. Didn't play very well, but scored 28 points in every game after that. Look, rooting guide. We're going to need some teams to start losing. We need Wake Forest to beat Clemson. They won't, but Clemson is 3-0 in the ACC. Carolina, you root for them to beat Georgia Tech. Cal, you root for them to beat Pitt. Pitt hasn't lost yet. Cal, help us out. Love some help. Would love to see Virginia beat Louisville. Louisville is like almost dead. Almost dead. They haven't lived up to their expectation yet. Lost last week. Lost to Notre Dame, which is in a conference game. I know that a lot of people disagree with me in the school of thought. I want the UVA Tech game to matter. I want to beat them by 100 points when we play them, and I will be rooting for Virginia to beat Louisville to basically knock them out of the race. And then you're rooting for NC State to beat Syracuse. Syracuse is 1-1, fighting Kyle McCords. They look good. Weird loss against Stanford. But we're going to need some of these teams to start losing some games. That's what we're going to need. As far as game planning goes, I mean, you can't take anyone lightly. You can't come out sluggish. You got to keep improving week over week. Again, Pat, I think you're completely right. I'm back on this train. I do think that out of the last 6 games, we'll be favored in 5 of them, and we just have to go out and win every week. Don't get your head too big. Don't look ahead on the schedule. We saw how that worked out in September. Just whoever the next opponent is, go out and win the game.
Yeah, it's definitely I know, like, get guys healthy, like mainly Ollie Jennings and Bashal Tutin. We know Tutin's been running really hard. I think he had over 20 carries on Saturday. Getting that guy some time on Saturday, hit the ice bath, put your feet up and watch the ball instead of going out there and just getting battered.
Yeah.
4 quarters. Ollie Jennings, same thing. I think just your rooting guide that you just talked about too, like, it's really hard to win in this conference, despite how sometimes it can seem top heavy, and then you just have a team like Cal. Should have won the football game last night. Didn't play 4 quarters of football, but it really makes you excited about the ACC in some ways too. Like, I know we're not looked at as that top tier right now, but there are some good football programs in this league. And it's exciting to see a school like Cal get some moment, get some love on a game day, but also SMU, like, knowing that they're for real, or we would seemingly think that they are for real at this point in the year. Excited to see the rest of the year. So I think that sums it up.
Yeah. Looking at the conference right now, of the teams that are undefeated in our conference, there's Pittsburgh, Virginia, SMU, Miami, and Clemson. Just a crazy weird stat. Really just very weird. Teams that have not won a conference game yet, as crazy as this is, Cal, UNC, and NC State have not won a game in the conference yet. Florida State has played 5 conference games, which is crazy, of which they have only won 1 of them. Florida State, no exaggeration, sucks. I think what's really interesting, I don't think anybody had this on their bingo board, but what I am tracking right now is, will Florida and Florida State combine to be bowl eligible? Florida Gators are 3-2 right now. The rest of their schedule is Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. Really tough. Probably would be lucky to win 2 of these games, maybe. But right now, Florida State is 1-5 and Florida is 3-2. So can they, between the 2 of them, figure out how to win a couple more games? Probably. Florida State plays Charleston Southern, but state of Florida is in free fall when it comes to football. So RIP to Florida football right now.
What other than Miami?
Of course.
Like, what happened with the schedule creation for Florida State? Like, their 2 first games of the year were conference games. You think, like, they had one of those? You think they had that Georgia Tech Ireland game scheduled probably forever? And
the fact that you play, like, I'm looking at their schedule, they had no opportunity to tune up. I'm not saying they're good, because they're not, but I'm looking at the schedule. Their first games: Georgia Tech, Boston College, Memphis, who's a good group of 5 school, Cal, SMU, Clemson. There was no, like, House of the Deaf and Blind. There was no, like, Florida Directional Agricultural Municipal State University. Like whoever made this schedule probably should not do it again. because this is just really, really poor. But hey, at least they have a chance to tune up with Charleston Southern on November 23rd before they play Florida State, they play Florida.
I'm sure no one will have opted out at that point.
No, and what a tough out-of-conference schedule too. I mean, I'm looking at their out-of-conference right now. Notre Dame, we just talked about how good Memphis is, and Florida, who's Casey's going to get upset about this. They're an SEC team. They're always on the schedule. And then Charleston Southern. So again, really, really tough.
Anytime Billy Ray says anything remotely positive about the SEC, oh, well, Casey's not going to like that one.
He's not. Well, he literally, he called me this morning and he goes, here's what I don't want. I don't want you guys or anybody saying, you know what, Alabama lost to an SEC opponent in Vanderbilt. I'm like, nobody's saying that. Nobody is out here like, dude, SEC, Vanderbilt, dude, they're in the SEC. Like, nobody's doing that. So anyway, that does it for me. I know we have to talk about it, Pat, just what we're going to do during the bye week. I think we can do a couple things. Number one, if you're still here, comment Lumberjack, because we did chop down the tree this weekend. So that is your challenge this week. Comment Lumberjack. And then also throw in the comments what you want to see this week. Do we want to do a deep dive on kind of where Virginia Tech is right now, and kind of recap everything? What I would much prefer, just personally, I'd love to just take the bye week and talk about college football as a whole. Maybe dive into some of the other storylines and other things that are going on, but certainly open to feedback. And, you know, I can't believe the season's half over. I really, I can't
be upset about it. Really.
Yeah.
Pour one out for the first half. It's over.
Yeah. They had us in the first half, Pat. They did.
They did. They had us in the first half of the first 3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, final shout-outs, Billy Ray. Guys, join the Section 5 Club. Always going to plug it here. Appreciate you guys making it to the end. Shout-out to Jansen Lee, who is the newest Founders Club member of the Section 5 Club. Section 5 Club is a way to help contribute to Sons of Saturday, for us to do and continue to do unique opportunities like the Nashville Takeover, the Rutgers Takeover, Slam Jam, which we're doing next week, enhancing NIL opportunities for the men's basketball program. Spring Jam, which we do in the spring. Probably going to try it to launch a golf tournament, other events around Blacksburg, engaging with you guys, the best fan base and the best community that the ACC has. So yeah, join the Section 5 Club. What was the last thing, Billy Ray? You just jumped in and it's slipping my mind right now.
Last thing. I don't remember. Oh, let us know what you want to hear next week during the bye week.
No. It was we're giving away Roback. We're giving away Clemson tickets. We probably have like 20 more Clemson tickets that we're going to give away between now and kickoff. It's like 4 or 5 Robacks that we're giving out. Some more Roback gift cards, maybe some codes around Blacksburg as well. We're always trying to enhance the giveaways as well. We don't want it to be just like, hey, we're members of the club, we don't get anything. We do want to do like happy hours and tailgates and stuff like that we're building the funnel. So the more people we have in, the more we would love to encourage you guys to join. So check it out. Encourage a friend. Go Hokies. We'll see you guys in town next week, Boston College, 7:30, night game, Thursday Night Football.
Go Hokies.